Hey friends, welcome back to the Guitar Max channel. So the guitar I have to show you today is sleek, fast, and affordable, and I love the name. This is the Firefly Aerosonic. Okay guys, so I'm a little late to the party on this. This is not really a brand new guitar model, but this has been out for at least a few months. And I try to keep up on a lot of the Firefly guitars, and in general I do. And I was like aware of this model, but I had just gotten a V, one of the new Firefly V models a while back. And so I was just kind of waiting a little bit to get yet another Firefly guitar. But I've got this one here, and it is really, really cool. Now, the way I want to describe this guitar is, I don't know, it's a little bit different. I get a particular vibe from this guitar, and let me tell you about the vibe. Are you guys familiar with the concept of retrofuturism? Retrofuturism is like what people in the past thought the future would be like. And it might seem weird, but that is the vibe I get from this guitar. This seems like the guitar that people from the past, say 60 years ago, this is the guitar that they thought everyone would be playing today. And I say that because on one hand, it's a semi-hollow body guitar, right, which is very old school, and it's a classic body shape, but at the same time, it plays fast and it's sleek, and it just plays and feels like a modern cutting-edge guitar. Yeah, and then the name, the Aerosonic. I love that name. I don't know how many of you guys know this, but I'm a bit of an aviation buff. In fact, I have an entire second YouTube channel called Heavy Metal Horizons, which is all about cars and aviation. But anyway, back to this guitar right here. With this being featured here on the Guitar Max channel, as you can imagine, this is a very affordable guitar. You know, really like all of the Firefly guitars. They are really, really affordable. This one's no exception. This one goes for right around $240. This one's called the Gray Burst. You know, sort of a gray burst, black burst finish on the top here, but it comes in several other colors. And one thing about the finish, which really doesn't show up on the video, so I just want to tell you guys about it, is the finish on the back of the guitar, both the body and the neck. It looks just like a plain gloss black finish, but in the right lighting, you can see that it's actually a little bit transparent. And sometimes, again, when the light hits it just right, you can see the wood grain on the back of the neck. Now, while we're back here, let's take a look at one of my favorite features of this guitar, and that is this neck joint right here. I'll give you guys a close-up of that, but guys, this is one of the smoothest, most comfortable neck joints on any single cut style guitar I've ever played. I mean, it's just, it dives right into the lower horn there, totally rounded, totally shaved off, really, really comfortable, makes it really easy to get the high frets. Okay, but now let's get into the specs. The body and the neck, they're both mahogany. Of course, it has a flame maple veneer on the top, and like I said in the beginning, this is a semi-hollow body guitar, so the center block and back of the body is what is mahogany, and then you've got these spaces right in here, and then you've got the veneer over the top. Now, it's a rosewood fretboard, and this is a 24 3/4 inch scale length on this guitar, so like a standard Gibson scale length. 22 frets on here, and guys, let's take a minute and talk about these frets, right? Because these are these awesome rounded ball end frets that we are seeing more and more on affordable guitars. Now, we've seen these rounded ball end frets on companies like Eert or more recently Latitude guitars, But what's interesting about Firefly is that they started out, Firefly has been around for a few years now, and they started out with traditional frets, and now it seems like they are transitioning to these rounded ball-in frets. My new Firefly Flying V guitar had the rounded ball-in frets, and this one does. But like as an example, my SG style guitar from Firefly, the one I got has the more traditional frets. But there seems to be something going on where the same model of guitar, they seem to be transitioning how they're doing the frets on the same model of guitar. So what I mean by that is, from what I've been hearing from other people, and I haven't experienced this for myself, but I've been hearing this from other people, if you bought one of the older models of the Firefly guitars that had the traditional frets, now some of the models, if you buy a brand new model, it'll have the new style of frets on it. So now I don't know if eventually all of the Firefly guitars are going to have these rounded ball fret ends, but certainly it seems like the newer models do. Okay, now the other things with the neck here, I measured all this stuff. It's a 43 millimeter nut. You've got 22 millimeters thickness on the neck here down by the first fret, and it gets just slightly thicker up here by the neck joint. I measured that, and that was about 24 millimeters. So just a little bit of a taper there. But in general, these are very comfortable necks while still being very full feeling necks. Okay guys, so as usual, there's some other specs and sort of things I want to talk about with this guitar, and I'll get to those in a few minutes, but right now let's go ahead and plug it in and listen to how the guitar sounds. Now, real quick guys, as always, if you enjoy videos like this, checking out new affordable guitars, and also staying up on all the latest news in the guitar universe, and you have not already subscribed, please consider subscribing right now. Okay, let's go ahead and plug this in. I'm going to use my old reliable Fender GTX 100 amplifier. I always use this amplifier for doing demos because it just has such a great sound. In fact, I'm probably going to do a video just about that coming up soon. But anyway, I'll use the Fender GTX 100 amplifier for the demo, and we will listen to some of the tones we can get out of this Firefly Aerosonic. Okay guys, so the thing with this guitar is that despite the sort of, I don't know, traditional look of the guitar, especially it being a semi-hollow body guitar, the feeling, just overall feeling I get from this guitar when I play it is sleek, right? It's sleek, it's fast, it just, everything feels very smooth on it. Now that is, I think, from the neck joint, and of course a big part of it is these really cool frets with the really nice fret ends. Now I've mentioned this before, on these guitars that have these rounded ball fret ends, the frets don't quite reach the edge of the fretboard. The frets are not, they're a little bit shorter where they don't quite reach the edge of the fretboard. That has a couple of advantages. One is that a guitar that comes from overseas, like this one does, sometimes the necks can shrink or expand a little bit as they adjust to the humidity and the local conditions of where you live. Sometimes when that happens, especially if the neck shrinks a little bit, you end up with the frets being then a little bit too long for the fretboard, and they stick out a little bit and you end up with sharp fret ends. So having the frets start out a little bit shorter keeps that problem from ever happening. Now the other cool thing about this is that because the ends of the frets don't quite reach the edge of the fretboard, it gives the corner or the edge of the fretboard a rolled feeling. So it just makes it really, really round and really comfortable when you're shifting around. Your fingers don't drag at all on the corner of the fretboard. Now, as far as the sound goes, I can never really find too much information about these pickups. They're humbuckers, obviously, and to my ears they have a very mid-range focused vintage tone to them. But the neck pickup in particular, I really, really like on this guitar. It's a 22 fret guitar, so the neck pickup is placed a little bit further down, which is going to give it a nice bell-like warmer sound. So the position of the pickup certainly helps, but that really jumped out to me. The sound of the neck pickup really is nice. Okay, now there are a couple of things that you want to watch out for on this guitar. One of them has to do with the fretboard, right? This is a rosewood fretboard. It's a nice dark rosewood. They probably dyed the wood to get it this dark. And one of the reasons I think that, or the main reason I think that, is that when I first played this guitar, sort of the first like 15 minutes of playing this guitar, you get a little of this dark stuff that comes off and gets on your fingertips. So people talk about getting, the sort of dark finger effect when you first play these guitars. And after a while, after you've played it, all that stuff has come off, and then that problem goes away. But it's something you should probably be aware of when you first start playing one of these guitars with a really, really dark rosewood fretboard. You're going to have to wash your hands a few times. Now, the other thing is that when I got this guitar, the action was a little high on this. So I did have to make an adjustment just by lowering the bridge a little bit. And I think I'm still probably going to do an additional truss rod adjustment, but I've only had this guitar for like maybe not even a week yet. So I think the wood is still adjusting a little bit. So I'll probably wait a little bit longer, and then I'll make that final truss rod adjustment to get the setup really, really dialed in. But yeah, just keep in mind, even with these really nice fret ends and everything, the craftsmanship is really good, but you should expect to do a little bit of setup work on these guitars when you get them, to get them really dialed in. Now, one last thing that's interesting about this guitar is the weight and the balance of it. I weighed this guitar. It was 7.85 pounds. I think that's about 3,560 grams for you metric people out there. And what's cool about this is that because it's a semi-hollow body guitar, I mean, if this was a solid body guitar with the same body shape and the set neck and everything, it would probably be at least, I don't know, maybe a pound or pound and a half heavier. But being under 8 pounds, it's still a really comfortable weight while being, sort of a Les Paul single cut style guitar. So it saves the weight on you. It ends up being a really, just like I said, sleek, fast, very comfortable guitar. Okay guys, so there is the Firefly Aerosonic. In general, I like usually just sort of more modern guitars. Not modern like the headless fan fret stuff, but modern like 80s, 90s guitars, that kind of stuff. And this one definitely has a vintage kind of classic vibe to it, but it feels and plays like a modern guitar. And yeah, I really like that one. If I was going to do a show or something where I was going to be playing some like rock and roll classics, but I don't want to actually play an old guitar, I think I would take this with me because it has the right look, but you can still just shred and do all your modern licks on it with ease. And yeah, the last thing, right, is I'm really happy that at least for now, the prices on these guitars seem to be staying pretty low. I mean, 240 bucks. There's going to be some kind of shipping fee probably on top of that. But yeah, for what you're getting, you know, especially with the way prices have been going up and up lately, this is still a really, really good deal. So guys, as usual, I'll have links for everything I was talking about in the video, the guitar, also the amplifier I was using for the demo, my new instructional program, all that stuff will be down in the video description below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll talk to you soon.